Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stands. What a disappointment last night. We're going to talk about that. De Gea, Maguire, Ten Hag, Sancho, the lot. But I think the thing I want to say from the start is that we've got to back these players. We've got to back this manager. We're Manchester United. There's a lot of disappointment out there. I get that. But I think there's also a lot of sensationalism out there. It's almost like people think that we're going to solve the whatever issues that they think are there in the next day or two. We're not. We're still owned by the Glazers. Hello, we're still owned by the Glazers. People are getting a new keeper, a new centre-back, 2 new midfielders, a right winger. And I'm like, we're still owned by the Glazers. Like, we've been in this position for the last 10 years. I mean, I get a bit tired of it. I'm sure you do as well. We get these bad results. We need to do this, this, this and this. And we go through the same cycle. It's not going to happen. And it's certainly not going to happen before the end of May. And I think specifically in relation to Ten Hag, no one said it was going to be easy. I've seen and heard a few things this morning. I've been out for a haircut, so I had the radio on and I listened to a few United fans calling in to talk sport and stuff. And I was somewhat surprised that somebody was saying, well, Ten Hag's a bit of a myth. He's done well, but he's overhyped. And I'm like, whoa, let's just be careful here, because we've got a massive game against Brighton that we've got to get ready for. And press conference at 5 o'clock today, so I'll be live at 5 for that, and then 8 o'clock we'll do the preview. So busy day. I'm also doing my Champions League final on Twitch today, finally at about 3:30. So busy afternoon. But in relation to Erik Ten Hag, I have to call it out, because I got a screenshot this morning on Twitter, and this guy's a prat. He's just constantly putting shit about me out because I think he's obsessed. I think he's been obsessed for years. And I think he's a liar, and I think he's a dangerous person, and I think he just needs to get a life, because you are completely miles off me. Apparently, well, I've got the screenshot. Apparently, I'm starting to turn on the manager. Right, I never turned on Mourinho before everybody else. I didn't turn on Solskjaer before everyone else. And Ten Hag, I am not even a hint of turning on him. I will question decisions. That's our job. But anybody who thinks Ten Hag's a myth or not the right man, I can't believe it. I really can't believe it, because the reality is, at the start of the season, I didn't think we'd get top 4 and I didn't think we'd win a trophy. And as much as I'm disappointed last night, we've already won the Carabao Cup. We should get top 4. So for me, he's exceeded what my expectations were this season. Now, the standards of Manchester United are to win the title, win the Champions League. That's where it begins and ends for me, because that's what we had ingrained into us for years and years with Sir Alex. But I don't expect that at the moment. I don't think you can solve the problems of the last 10 years in one summer. I think he's done a really good job, and I think some of the things are unpreventable. Look at Sevilla last night. No Bruno Fernandes was always going to be a problem to anybody who appreciates what Bruno Fernandes is. We've been banging this drum for weeks. Look at the win percentage when Bruno Fernandes is captain. He is absolutely essential. Is he the best player in the team? Arguably, you could say yes, but I still think it's probably Casemiro. But is he the most influential player in the team? Yes. He knows what Man United's about. He gets it. You get all these ex-players going, I don't like the way he throws his hands in the air. I don't like the way. Well, shut up. We're way more effective with him in the team, so deal with it. If you watch the game, we're way more effective with Bruno Fernandes in the team. And I think that also, if you look at that Sevilla game, the thing that ruined that game, all right, there was individual mistakes, but look, forget the individual mistakes for a moment. We're 2-0 up and we're cruising at Old Trafford at half-time. Rafael Varane comes off, we don't score again and we concede 5. That killed us. We had the momentum at half-time at Old Trafford. We're 2-0 up, and for whatever reason, and there's a multitude of reasons, there's bad luck, there's bad substitutions, there's terrible mistakes, but we're through to the semi-final at half-time at Old Trafford. Varane gets injured and it all falls apart. And whether it's the pass out from De Gea for the first goal last night, the way we defended in the second half at Old Trafford and the way we defended in Sevilla, if we've got Rafael Varane in that team, I don't think those things happen. Certainly Martinez is a big loss as well. So I looked at the semi-final. I look at the semi-final lineups with Roma in it. I look at what Roma are doing in Serie A and in the Europa League with Chris Smalling playing regularly. And I still don't think we get enough publicity that we sold Chris Smalling for what, 15 million quid, and we bought Harry Maguire for 80 million pounds, and Chris Smalling is better than Harry Maguire. I mean, that doesn't get enough focus because they've both got British passports, but that to me is one of the worst deals we've ever done. Harry Maguire, whatever you think about him, and look, we need to back him. I'm going to tell you that in a minute. I'm going to shock you. We need to back Harry Maguire, but You talk about mistakes, you talk about centre-backs. He ain't a Man United centre-back, and he certainly isn't a captain. There was no leadership last night. The reason I was frustrated with Maguire last night was because he's the captain, and the whole team was flat. His job is to lead. His job is to inspire. I know he made a mistake. I've seen Roy Keane make a mistake, but he's a leader. Maguire's not a leader. He's not good enough. But we spent £80 million on Harry Maguire and we sold Chris Smalling. That, to me, is incredible. It doesn't get enough publicity because if you go to Italy and do well, you get forgotten. Look at Smalling, look at Tomori. Two fantastic centre-backs doing it, in a league that's not their league, in a league that's competitive. I mean, let's not forget, there's an Italian team in the semi-final of the Europa League and there's two in the final of the Champions League and one of them will be in the final of the Champions League. So, look, it's a good league and it's getting better. And, everyone waxes lyrical about Napoli. That Smalling deal, it's just ridiculous. But, look, I just think in relation to Erik ten Hag, it was never going to be easy. He's over-exceeded. You've got every right to be frustrated. I'm frustrated. That's a cowardly performance from Manchester United last night, and we know that. But it was also the same in the second half at Old Trafford last week. It was the same against Newcastle. It's the same against Liverpool. There's an identity problem. There's a culture problem. There's a mentality problem. And Erik ten Hag was never going to solve that in one summer. And let's not forget, the summer transfer window he got last year was also shambolic. So everyone who says, well, he's had a summer, he had no new signings on the pre-season tour. He got most of his decent signings came in at the end of August when the season had already started, and he'd lost his first two games. He didn't stabilise that team really until just before the World Cup, and somehow we are comfortably in the top four at this moment, and we've won a trophy, and we've only just been knocked out of another trophy, and we're in an FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. So I think Ten Hag is completely and utterly exceeding expectation. We're not where we want to be, but I didn't predict this in August, and I don't think anything this season has actually made me go, well, we should get top four, or we should win a trophy. I think actually we were stronger at the start of the season when you think that we had Ronaldo as part of the squad and we hadn't replaced him with Weghorst yet, and I expected we would sign players in January and we didn't. So look, we've got to back Ten Hag. I don't understand why anybody would go in on him. As for players, well, look, whether it's Jadon Sancho, whether it's David De Gea, whether it's Harry Maguire, and let's just talk about David De Gea for a moment, because this is one that I can't get through to people on this. I think it's just such a rigid stance now. You're either absolutely piling on to David De Gea with, Scholes and Neville and Hargreaves and Savage last night, or you actually see that, it might be a little bit of a witch hunt and a little bit over the top. I see it for what it is. I'm not conceding anything here, unlike De Gea. But you've got to bring a bit of joke into it, because I respect the fact that people want us to get a new goalkeeper. I do that. I don't want a new goalkeeper. I still stand by that. But look, maybe I'm in the minority. I don't care. But I stay rigid on what my opinion is on this. There's three things really, and I'll bring Harry Maguire in. And there is no other player that can play last night. I think people moan for moaning's sake sometimes. And I've been guilty in it in the past, but logically last night, there was no other centre-back pairing he could pick other than Maguire and Lindelof. There was no other centre-back. Luke Shaw was not fit to play the 45 minutes we brought him on for, let alone start. So Varane and Martinez are injured. There was no other centre-back partnership he could do. You're not going to play Mengi, and he's not even fit anyway. So people start talking about Phil Jones. He's not trained in a year. Bring Eric Bailly back. We can't do it. If you've got a logical way of altering that starting lineup, please tell us. But there wasn't one. Even McTominay's not fit, so he had to pick Maguire and Lindelof last night. So it's not on Ten Hag. He has to pick that. Is that a weakness, and is it a reason we lost? Probably. It's probably, well, as I said, Varane gets injured at half time in the first leg. We're 2-0 up. We don't score again and we concede 5 goals. So, from Varane to Maguire, we know from Varane to Maguire is a huge drop off. We know if we play Maguire, we're weak. But there's nobody else. There is nobody else. And I think this is what the frustration thing is. People are going, oh, kick him out the club, sell him, this, that and the other. In the summer, that should happen. I agree. But he can't play against Brighton because he's suspended. But last night, you've got to back him. You've got to hope he does well. And if he has to play between now and the end of the season, you've got to hope he does well. Of course, he's a glaring, there's mistakes there and it's worrying. But you've got to back him. He's a Man United player at the moment until the end of May. And then, yeah, I agree, we should be selling him. I've said that loads of times. But I can't understand the whole Maguire shouldn't have been playing. Well, blame the Glazers. blame the injuries, but ultimately there's not really anything Ten Hag can do, and you've got to back that player. And it gets even worse in the De Gea situation, because even if you want De Gea to go, he's infinitely better than Butland, and Heaton's not fit either. So he's miles better than those two. So what are people moaning about? Oh, De Gea this, De Gea that. I just think you're damaging the team. Like I said with Maguire, if he plays against Spurs next week because Luke Shaw's injured or something like that, then we've got nobody else. So back the player. We've got to back these players. We've got to back them. I don't understand the mentality of going, oh, I can't move for people piling on De Gea, piling in on his stats. You know, and I'm like, he is our goalkeeper till the end of May at least. And we've got big games. You'll be moaning if we're in the Europa League next year. You'll be moaning if Man City do the treble. And also, Maguire and De Gea, Maguire's down here. De Gea actually has been one of the world's best goalkeepers. De Gea actually is a legend of this football club. De Gea actually does deserve a little bit of respect and a little bit of faith. And also, he's number one for clean sheets this season. So, all right, there's a conversation to be had on distribution, and some people don't like the fact that he doesn't come out of his box, etc. But when it comes to getting over the line at the end of this season, why would you pile on De Gea in social media and everything like that? And if he picks that up and it starts damaging him, and the same with Sancho, the same with the team. We've got to get over the line. We've got to back these players. They know their weaknesses. We know their weaknesses, but we've got to back them because we have got nothing else. It's not like Erik Ten Hag's picking De Gea when he's got Manuel Neuer on the bench. It's not like he's picking Harry Maguire and Varane and Martinez are fit. We are down to the bare bones, and we need these players to deliver. Of course, some of them are not good enough. I completely agree. And look, on the De Gea thing last night, I mean, the pile-on from Britain, I find it disgusting. I really do. I don't mind fan opinion, but the pile-on from the ex-players again, because they've just got this weird problem with David De Gea and Bruno and that. And I just find it so irritating. And you know what? They go, I wouldn't have liked that pass. I wouldn't have liked that pass. Well, don't bloody ask for it then. Like, well, what's that got to do with it? Well, like, literally, they're like, well, De Gea shouldn't play the pass. So he's got his captain saying, give me the ball. And there's nothing wrong with that pass. Oh, it could have had a little bit more weight on it. It could have had a bit more pace on it. There's nothing wrong with the pass. Maguire's static. He's like a bag of cement. If the pass hasn't got enough pace on it, you can move towards it. I mean, has anyone ever played the game? I've played the game. If that pass from De Gea to Maguire, there's nothing wrong with it. Could have had a bit more pace on it. We'll move towards the ball then. Too fast? You know, control it better. It was nothing wrong with it. Maguire asked for it. And what makes me laugh is people are acting like they're the coach of Manchester United. You don't know the situation at Manchester United, right? People are saying, in that sort of game, you've just got to boot it long. Well, last time I checked, Erik Ten Hag's the coach of this team. And last time I checked, people don't like it when De Gea boots it long. They want him to play out from the back. Now, you've got a situation where De Gea receives the ball, his captain's asking for the ball, and Ten Hag wants him to play out from the back. And countless times this season, De Gea has played that pass to Varane and Martinez, by the way. So, look, I'm sure he would have kicked it long if he could have done it again. But I also think people are rewriting history like they're the coach of the team. What if Ten Hag is asking him to play out from the back and also Maguire is demanding the ball? You know, it's a pressure cooker environment. He's played the pass. I still think the pass could be dealt with better. I still think De Gea probably would like to have booted it. But, you know, they're trying to coach the game when they're not the coach. I don't know whether Ten Hag has told him to pass out from the back in that situation, but he has done it a lot. And as I said, if Martinez receives that ball, there's no problem. He's intelligent enough to scan. He's intelligent enough to take a touch. He's intelligent enough to make the pass. He's intelligent enough to let the ball just move and move with it and do a body swerve. So I think at the end of the day, you know, we've got to move on. And like I say, we've got a massive game against Brighton on Sunday. And I think that what we've got to do is, we've got to get behind these players. Look, if you're anti-Maguire, he can't play on Sunday anyway. But we've got to respond. And also, I think one of the most things that I found really irritating last night was that, and irritating this morning is, it's now done what it always does. I remember after the Liverpool game, it all became about Bruno. And I was like, why is it all becoming about Bruno? And we know why it became about Bruno, because certain people said things they shouldn't have said publicly and made it all about Bruno. And I think this game is now becoming all about De Gea again. And like, well, look, Sancho's getting away with it. Maguire's getting away with it. But actually, I don't want to talk about Maguire, Sancho or De Gea. Because collectively, that performance was dreadful. Sevilla are not that good. And I don't think they're getting the credit they deserve. We saw it. From the first minute, they pressed us aggressively high up the pitch, and we had no answer to it. No answer at all. That is a tactical failing on the coaches, but more than that, the players just sank. They absolutely sank. For how many times has this happened away from home? So look, you can talk about wanting a new goalkeeper, a new centre-back, selling Sancho, and wherever else you want to do. You can talk about that, but none of those things are happening until June. And none of them are happening if the Glazers don't sell. So you're actually banging your head against the brick wall for two reasons. One, you're talking about all this change. Name me a summer in the last 10 years, we've even got 50% of the way of doing the summer we need to. So, you know what? If you think that Maguire and De Gea are going this summer, you're having a laugh. They're not. Not unless we get new owners. So ultimately, you need to focus on the ownership. And secondly, most important of all, we've got a top 4 race and an FA Cup semi-final to play. We've got to get our heads back in the game. And individualising it lets off Eriksen, Casemiro, Rashford, Martial, Anthony, Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, and any other player that didn't really get criticised last night but didn't turn up. Collectively, as a team, it was dreadful. And that's the big thing if I'm Ten Hag. I don't want to individualise it. I'll deal with the individuals over the next few weeks into the summer. That's my job. But my biggest thing is I'm playing a game in 2 days and all of you were shit. And that's what we need to focus on. And I think this morning, you know, it's very, very rare I get this clarity. But I wake up this morning and I just think everybody's running off on the wrong tangents. We've got a massive game on Sunday. There is no way you can pick anybody else other than he started with last night, regardless of performance. There wasn't any options. There aren't any options in that team. We know we haven't got a deep squad and we know we've got a few injuries. So it is what it is. It wasn't good enough. And collectively, it was a bloody shambles. So look, do what you want. It's, you know, that's the beauty of football, isn't it? But my message is we've got to back these players, whoever they are. Over the next few games, we've got to back these players, because if we don't, the season could crumble completely. And we are Manchester United, and they are putting our shirt on. And I know it's the last 10 years has been, you know, quite negative in relation to we get fed up of these results, and they are really annoying. But we can still have a good season, and in some ways, we still have had a good season, and we've got to pick it up. And the thing that encourages me is that I think Erik Ten Hag, if you know anything about him, is that he is an obsessive and he wants to win. And if you're picking out the problems and I'm picking out the problems, especially around the culture and the mentality, do you think he's willing to go into next season with this set of players? Not a cat in hell's chance. Not at all. He ain't stupid. He's a very, very good coach. There ain't no way he's going to sit there and go, I'm happy with my squad in the summer. He's going to want to make those changes. But before he can, we've got to get to the end of May. And I think it's our job to back him and back these players, because then it can't be levelled at us that we've given up. And I haven't given up. We've got an FA Cup semi-final. I desperately want us to win the FA Cup because obviously it stops City winning a treble. And we've got a top 4 race that actually is really competitive. And I'll tell you for free, if we play like we did last night, or how we did against Newcastle, or how we did in the second half against Sevilla at Old Trafford, we'll get turned over by Spurs and Villa, and then that top 4 race is in big, big jeopardy. And we'll be out the FA Cup as well. So we need a response. And we know we can. You know, we are a yo-yo club. You know, sometimes we're brilliant, sometimes we're shit. And I do think that Bruno Fernandes is a big factor in how we can get back. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, we are live at 5 o'clock tonight for the press conference of Erik Ten Hag. Then we're doing the preview on the Friday night show. Definitely need a drink tonight. Looking forward to the 8 o'clock show. And if you're interested in my Twitch Man United career mode, I've got a Champions League final tonight, this afternoon at about 3:30. Speak to you all later. Take care.